Mayfield, possibly out of Cleveland. You want to be a boss? That's how you be a boss. I did. I made a mistake. Hey, how are you? Good morning. Hope everybody is having a great morning. I'm back at the crib at the Dakich compound. You know, to get into the Dakich compound, you got to give a thumbprint. Happy birthday to the great Bob. Now, at some point today, I'll tell you how we used to serenade him. It was the phoniest, most ridiculous thing ever. The great Bob Knight, 82 years old today, and we used to have to sit there and sing to him as players and coaches. One time we got him a belly dancer. I'm sure that's offensive to many, many people. Speaking of offensive, last night, man, you wanted Zappy time to win, right? You wanted that to go. You wanted Zappy hour or whatever people call it, but it just didn't go. But here's the deal. I look at everything through the prism of a coach. I look at it through, all right, are we a connected group? And the most connected group over the years has always been who in the NFL? That's right. It has always been the New England Patriots. If you stepped out of the Patriot way, then you pretty much got cut, but nobody ever did when they were rocking and rolling. Guys had individual personalities, but they never went against the family. So yesterday, right, they lose. And they lose big. I mean, they lose bigly yesterday because Justin Fields, I'll get into him in a minute, was fantastic. So some wide receiver. And why is it always wide receiver? Some wide receiver named Jacoby Myers, after the game, starts talking. Now, the majority of you are not going to understand this. You're going to say, I'm being too hard. Jacoby Myers is a competitor. Now, stop it, stupid. Jacoby Myers is an idiot. Straight up. Jacoby Myers is not, absolutely not, ingrained in the Patriot team, in the Patriot way. I've been on Belichick because they haven't won without Brady, and rightfully so. But you can tell by this quote right here if you've ever coached. Let's hear from the wide receiver of the Patriots, who's mediocre at best.
Surprised that Jones came out so quickly.
Yeah, but that's the NFL for you. You know, it's a fast-changing business, and you got to rock with it right now.
How do you personally and other receivers and skill players adjust when a change like that is made?
Not even as a football player. I mean, it's tough as a man to see somebody who worked so hard kind of get that kind of treatment. But at the end of the day, you know, we all trying to feed our families, so we got to go out there and make plays for whoever's going.
That kind of treatment. I have a great friend. He passed away. His name is Bob Street. Everybody in Bloomington knew him. He was America's favorite bartender. Everybody knew him as Hebe. We used to play golf all the time, gamble our faces off competing against each other and others. And his thing was always, hey, play better. Play better, Matt Jones. Nobody's treating you bad. Look, it's a performance-based business, and Jacoby Myers just another entitled football player. Oh, it's kind of treatment. Shut up. Kind of treatment. Mac Jones is going to go make millions of dollars. Who kind of treatment? Thank you, Lee. My backside. This stuff makes me nuts. I'm sorry to be yelling and screaming at 9 a.m., but this crap makes me nuts. If you're on the Patriots or you're on any team, shut up and don't evaluate. Why are you evaluating? Well, that kind of treatment. Yeah, really? What kind of treatment? He didn't play well. He got benched. Guy came in, led him to 2 touchdowns. Now, we'll see what happens moving forward next week. But that kind of crap, it irritates me because nobody understands it anymore. We think participation trophy. We think, oh, yeah, well, you know, he's talking about feeding his family and he's talking about making a play. No, he's not. No, he's not. That's not what he's saying. He caught himself. What he's saying is that Mac Jones or anybody that gets benched for non-performance is getting a bad deal. No, they're not. Every guy playing every team sport should have to look over their shoulder to get Wally pipped. If you don't know what Wally Pip is, look it up. Man, that makes me nuts. What doesn't make me nuts is Justin Fields. Justin Fields looking good. Now, he throws the ball like Nolan Ryan throws a fastball, and it's fun to see. He's not going to complete many. But Justin Fields yesterday, the lovely Lee Ross and I got home in time to watch. So we're watching, And she looks at me, she goes, is there anybody else on the Bears offense other than Justin Fields in the offensive line? And I thought to myself, I went to the beard. I went, don't know. Because it was like, Justin Fields makes this play. Justin Fields made that play. Justin Fields make this play. It was fun to watch. It really was. It was like the best player in 8th grade CYO football, just running through everyone and doing whatever it is that he wanted to do. Do you know how hard that is in the NFL? You know how difficult? You know what a great athlete you've got to be to do what Justin Fields did yesterday? How many times was he in trouble? And the funniest thing to me watching this, again, as a coach, it's just what I do. Defensive players, every single time, there's this guy named Judah for New England. And the broadcast team kept telling you how great he was. He was good. He made some big plays, but man, did he screw things up. Every time he went inside, Fields went around him. Yeah, he's great, and I know you're going to tell me I'm wrong. I don't know football. Bull. I'll guarantee you, they were so afraid to criticize this guy, Matthew Judah. Man, did he screw things up. But the funniest part of it was when people came up to Justin Fields to tackle him, there was no aggressive going in to Justin Fields. There wasn't. There was like, all right, which way is he going? Like, and it's right. They teach you to break down, get your hands above your elbows, get your head up, and get your feet, get low, get your rear end behind your heels, and let's go, right? Man, these dudes knew that Justin Fields was in business yesterday, and there was a daggone thing that they could do with him, and it was fascinating. So then here's what you got. You got a team in New England that has a wide receiver of some note, I suppose, I don't know, evaluating. And the Bears defense looking like the monsters of the Midway with 3 turnovers. Matt Eberflus, the coach of the Bears, is friends with my wife. They grew up together. So we always root for Eberflus. I criticized him when he was here at Indianapolis because the defense stunk. But hey, now he's with Chicago. Defense looked good last year. Salute, Matt Eberflus. We got a monster for you today. Next, the benching of Matt Ryan. You know, the funniest thing about this benching of Matt Ryan is all of the accolades that Matt Ryan got when he came here. And the most ridiculous thing, our general manager, Chris Ballard, here in Indianapolis, I live in Indy, is supposedly the best general manager in the NFL. Agents voted him the best. Media voted him the best. And I get a kick out of it because he ain't the best. He ain't the worst. But he ain't the best. He drafted a guard, 6th, not a point guard, a big fat left guard that isn't athletic enough to move to left tackle in Quentin Nelson. Now, media will tell you Quentin Nelson's the greatest player ever. He's not. He's a nice kid. But honest to God, Quentin Nelson, to me, is a guy that if he were really good, like Chris Hinton was, Hall of Famer, would be playing left tackle. But you draft him 6th. And he looked me in the eye and told me, no, this generational changes our locker room. Oh, okay. So then the Colts go out, and they're on their 7th quarterback in 6 years. Now, idiots in the media, guys like Robert Griffin, say, Colts have never recovered from Andrew Luck retiring. That's complete crap. They've not recovered from being gutless. They've never recovered from not having the stones to bounce up in the draft. In fact, they've never recovered from the fact that the media-generated world's greatest GM hadn't figured out, ladies and gentlemen, that maybe you should study before you pick somebody. Here's an article on Matt Ryan coming to Indianapolis and the depth. Here it is. Matt Ryan has Colts gushing. There's definitely an it factor. Okay, but that's not the important part. This guy, Zach Kiefer, I asked Chris Ballard on Tuesday what he knew when he knew it first really started to sink in that Matt Ryan was the answer he was seeking. Did it take a practice, a week? No, it took me about an hour. He's for real. Okay. Took him about an hour. All right. They had no plan. None. Zero. Zip. Nada. They had no plan at quarterback, and they admitted it. They did no study. They did no study of this. So they get a quarterback without a plan. They had a left tackle situation where they don't have one right now. They had a guy long time, Anthony Costanzo. He told them for 2 years he was going to quit. For 2 years. They don't have a left tackle. World's greatest GM, my backside. So now it's a 6th-round pick, Sam Ehlinger. And personally, I really like Chris Ballard. Really like him. Think he's a really good dude. I aspire to be as good a man as him. But as a GM, he stinks. And now it's a 6th-round pick, Sam Ehlinger, who was mediocre at best at the University of Texas, to lead him and the coach, Frank Reich, out of the abyss and into saving their jobs. And by the way, speaking here in Indy, this is the only place you're going to get this, okay? Listen up, kids. This decision was not made by Frank Reich and Chris Ballard. This decision was made by Jimmy Irsay. How do I know that? The man that broke the story is a man named Mike Chappell. He's a friend of mine. He's coming on my afternoon show. Chappie broke the story. If Chappie breaks the story, that means the story came straight from Irsay. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. Jimmy Irsay is fed up with the, quote, NFL's best general manager. Guy here on Fox, Jay Glazer, called Frank Reich an elite coach. Maybe he is. I don't know. I don't want to criticize anybody in our own company, but all evidence to the contrary, this is not an elite organization. This is an organization that, frankly, is built on sand, that is built on hyperbole, and built on PR, period. We have breaking news. I want to get to this real quick. According to Ryan, who just sent this to me, a Russian court has rejected the appeal of Brittany Griner. She's appealing her 9-year prison sentence for drug possession. This is really sad. This is really, really, really sad. 9 years for vaping. Now, I don't believe that she's unlawfully detained. I think she's detained based on the laws of Russia. But 9 years for this is ridiculous. It's absurd. And one of the things that needed to stop happening was very, very, very popular people, Steph Curry et al., needed to stop influencing and criticizing the Russian government. You just need to. Now, I haven't seen this anywhere else, so I'm just going to say this is true, and I hope the hell it is. But I'm watching ESPN now, and I don't really see it. I have not been on Twitter because I'm doing a show here, people. But I'm going to 1,000% assume that this is the deal. Yes, it's been upheld. Sad. Very, very sad. Now, you can dislike Brittany Griner. You can dislike her stance on America. I guarantee you, by the way, she would love to be back in America. But Brittany Griner, 9 years for vape. Just all of you popular people, shut up. You're not going to sit there and start being loud and let it get to Russia. Steph Curry and the rest of you guys with nationwide and worldwide influence talking about unlawfully detained. That's the rules in Russia. So shut up, and people need to work diplomatically. Yes, it gives you social justice cred to say she's unlawfully detained, but it doesn't help her. A guy like me can say whatever, no one's paying attention to me. But you're Steph Curry, you're all across the world. And if I'm the Russian government, here goes America again, thinking that they're bigger than us, thinking they can tell us what to do. Don't do that. And it also shows you how weak our damn president is, and don't make any mistake about it. If you're sitting there and you're giving millions and billions of dollars to Russia's enemy, guess what? You got a problem. They're not going to help you. It's just the way it is. So sad news, really sad news out of Russia, in my opinion. Your opinion may be different, but in my opinion, I have empathy for Brittany Griner. 9 years for vape is ridiculous. If she needed to spend 2 months based on fine, but that's ridiculous. I got a lot of you saying, hey, look, if we had those kind of laws here in the United States, maybe we wouldn't have crime. I disagree with that. But hey, you know what? People got to think and do what people got to think and do. Ted Cruz was booed at Yankee Stadium. Ted Cruz, obviously out of Texas, pro-gun, anti-crime, which sounds so stupid to say, right? He's anti-crime. Shouldn't we all be anti-crime? New Yorkers, what do you want? I mean, what would you like? New York City, increased crime. Incredibly expensive. You like the way this is going? Do you? You like the way this is going? I understand you're a Democrat. You're the most tolerant of us all. You're the most inclusive of us all. But I got to tell you, you don't seem so inclusive. When every time somebody you disagree with must get booed, must get flipped off. And you don't seem so inclusive when all of a sudden immigrants are sent your way. Remember? Remember all that? And you can't get rid of them fast enough. Man, it's pretty amazing what's going on in our world. So, yeah, I think you should be mad at Ted Cruz. Hell, Ted Cruz wants you to take guns out of criminals' hands, wants to fight crime, wants to, I don't know, bring down expenses, I don't know, wants the economy to recover. Yeah, you should boo him, New York, just like you should get your brains beat out, your ass kicked by the Astros. You see those guys that were booing Ted Cruz? Let me tell you what they are. They're the same guys that said, hey, man, bring on the Astros. We want the Astros. Yeah, you got the Astros, mother. How'd that work out for you? It didn't work out for you great. File this under talent always prevails. Elijah Moore, again, wide receiver, like Jacoby Myers, is evaluating. Elijah Moore is on a team, the Jets, that are very good apparently this year, that seem to be very together. They seem to be the kind of team that likes each other. They're winning games, but Elijah Moore, the wide receiver, because, Elijah Moore is all about Elijah Moore, and he's evaluating. Don't evaluate players. Well, he's evaluating. What's he evaluating? He's evaluating the coaching staff. Game was over last week because I give Robert Saleh credit, the Jets coach. He said, hey, look, you can be mad all you want. We're going to make you inactive. It's like I used to tell my first wife, oh, you're mad? Good, be mad. I'll go over here. You can stay here and be mad. I don't want to hear about it. I know you're mad, but that's good. Be mad. Elijah Moore, be mad. Be mad. You go over here and be mad. Wide receivers, man. Look, there's nothing worse than adult men sulking. Adult men should never sulk. Adult men should fight back. Adult men should think. Adult men should be sensitive to situations, but no way in hell adult men should sulk. Yeah, I don't know. If I say anything, shut up. Shut up. So now this guy is going to be back in business. This guy is going to be, I don't know, back on the team. If he doesn't get targeted, is he going to cry? Are we going to have a session? Do we need a session for Elijah Moore and Jacoby Myers? I think we need a session. Oh, come here. They be mean to you. That's what I used to tell my son. Are they mean to you? Are they mean to you? And he would go, Dad, shut up. And I go, okay, they're mean to you. Don't be mean to me. They give me a headache. I don't know. Elijah Moore, when he came out of college in Mississippi, I wanted him to come to the Colts, but the Colts' greatest GM in the NFL did not get a guy to play wide receiver, even though T.Y. Hilton told everybody he was retiring and slowing down for 2 years. I digress. This is the best thing you're going to see today. John Calipari understands where he is. John Calipari, see this man to the right? It's a man named Michael McGuire. This is his son, Eaton. Michael McGuire worked in a coal mine. Michael McGuire works in a coal mine, Michael McGuire had 45 minutes. He's from Pikeville. 45 minutes to get from the coal mine, pick up his son, and get to a scrimmage in, I believe, in eastern Kentucky at a high school. So Michael McGuire, in his coal miner uniform, goes, runs, gets his son Eaton, sits in the front row. Now, you guys may not like John Calipari because 10 years ago, John Calipari did something you don't like. I don't care. John Calipari now is saying, look, this guy, his family is getting the VIP treatment at future home game in Lexington. This guy is going to be treated in the manner with which heroes are treated, and he should be. You know, John Calipari, this scrimmage that they had was to raise money for flood victims in eastern Kentucky. That's what it was. John Calipari does this stuff all the time. You know why John Calipari does this? Because he pays attention. Somebody may say, well, you know, back in Memphis, I don't care. I mean, aren't we all allowed to grow up, or just you? Aren't we all allowed to evolve into better people as we get older, or just you? I mean, let me know. Because I feel like at 60, I'm evolving into a better person. I feel like John Calipari at 62 or 63 maybe has evolved from the 35-year-old young coach trying to make it, trying to climb the ladder against Krzyzewski and Dean Smith and Bobby Knight and all of the rest, Jim Calhoun and all of the rest. Aren't we allowed at least a little bit to say, hey, fellas, ladies, gentlemen, maybe who I was at 35 isn't who I am at 63, but no, we're not allowed to. Because when you coach or you're in the public eye, there's that list. You know, in 2007, he did this. In 2008, he did this. I got to tell you, this is one of the best things I've ever seen. And I say this all the time about my college coach, and I tried to do that as a head coach at Bowling Green. I tried to let everybody that played basketball on my teams know the importance of our school to alumni and workers. We had a lot of farmers in Bowling Green. Big farm community around it, between Toledo, Bowling Green, and in the surrounding areas. And I always went to eat local at their places and promote our program because I like people that are real. I like people of substance. I don't like frauds. Calipari, you may think, was a fraud back in the day, and I don't know. I didn't know him. I know him now, and he's not. He's a real dude doing real things in every community, as many communities as he can all across Kentucky. And he should be commended for it. He really should. All right. Congrats, Coach Cal. I hope Michael McGuire and Eaton have one of the best times of their life, memories for a lifetime. And I guarantee you this, if you go as Cal's guest at Kentucky game, it's going to be unbelievably fun, particularly for Eaton. Actually, particularly for the dad, Michael, because, hell, he's been a Kentucky fan his whole life. I think it's awesome. I think it's absolutely freaking great. One thing I don't think is great is I don't like when little guys that never played sports do things that, I don't know, like call other teams their daddy. Like Bob Costas did this the other day. Overall, the Yankees' daddy is pretty clearly the Houston Astros, on the verge now of eliminating the Yankees from the postseason for the fourth time since 2015. And Yankee fans, I apologize, but these are the cold, hard facts. Just stop it. Just stop it. Bob Costas, call the game, be the historian, but don't do stuff like that. You could never play, you could never coach, you could never get on a field, and so you really shouldn't get personal with your insults to teams. I'm sorry. Let Pedro Martinez say that, who's on the mound. Let Garrett Cole say that, who's on the mound, but not you. No, let me say that if I'm talking about Purdue basketball over Indiana basketball, because I fought the fight. Bob Costas sits there with his little fake glasses and his little preppy look, and next thing you know, he's calling out professional athletes, guys that play their brains out for 6 months of the year, then train the other 6 to do it all again. Just stop it. Guys like Costas, I like him. I do. But when you do stuff like that, the daddy thing, I don't care about the other stuff. Obviously, the Astros have the number of the Yankees. But when you do those things, when you do things like that, it gives me a headache. And I don't like it. Do you know that we have had another school shooting yesterday? Did you know that a kid, 18 years old, went into a St. Louis school yesterday and killed at least 2, injured 7? Did you even know that? And my point isn't this, that we had a school shooting. My point is nobody seems to care. Like, if you turn on the news, you don't see it. It's amazing. We are desensitized to the worst thing. Again, I go to this. We worry about the stupidest things in the world. We should be doing something every day in our communities, which maybe we are, to curb this. But nationally, we should be bringing so much attention to these things that nobody even thinks about it. We should be doing so much in our government. What do we worry about? What the hell do we worry about? We have some crazy transgender person coming to the White House to meet with the president. We have all these stupid things. And by the way, I didn't say all transgender people were crazy. There's one in particular that just met at the White House, and you tell me, you watch the videos of this person, tell me they're not nuts. You can't do it. You can't do it. But we worry about crap. We're putting, again, I talk about this every day and I'm not going to stop. We put drag shows in front of our kids. We spend more time talking about we, they, them, us, whatever. Every day I feel like, or every week at minimum, we get a school shooting and it's like, well, it's just another school shooting. What are we doing? Where's common sense? Where's common sense to say, hey, look, we've got to do something in our country for our people? Billions of dollars is going to Ukraine. I don't know why. Maybe it's to help. Maybe it's to further politicians' interests. All I know is that guys that make about $175,000 a year live in billion-dollar mansions, million-dollar mansions, millions of dollar mansions. I don't know how that happens. You tell me. All I know is Tulsi Gabbard is talking about nuclear war seriously. So is everybody apparently inside. And we're worried about we, they, them, drag shows for kids, and we don't even concern ourselves with things like this anymore. It's unbelievable to me. The mental health situation in our country is awful. I learned it myself when I had one of my former players come back and live with me. We were trying to get him off of Oxycontin. We tried to get him into different It's horrible. We don't know anything about it. We send our money where? Ukraine. Great. We worry about drag shows for little kids. Jesus. Thoughts and prayers aren't enough, people. Get off your ass, government. Get off your ass. If you guys are supposedly the ones that are going to save us, then hey, how about we start with doing something? Has there been one single time that President Biden has put America first? One time. One time. Has he put America first? No. No. Not one. These things will continue. These things aren't going to stop. Borders are raging. Crime is up. And I'm not a doomsday guy. Hell, I live a great life. But I do pay attention to what's going on in the world, and I've never seen one time this president put America first. Not one. Zero. And you can fight me on it all you'd like. Doesn't happen. I got an Inflation Reduction Act. Really? Inflation's up. How's that going? Well, it only started 3 months ago. Okay, you got a 2-year term, 24 months. How's that going? I got to tell. All right, we got a backup quarterback situation. I got a new article here where the indie media is trying to save face for Chris Ballard. You know, backup quarterbacks have been pretty good. Backup quarterbacks will lead you to the Super Bowl. Stay right here. I'm going to give you my 5 best backup quarterbacks ever. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I love talking Spanish. Took 2 years in college. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Hutton from Outkick 360. If you couldn't catch the show yesterday, here's what you missed.
Well, this is just, I think what this is, it's similar to, Vrabel meets the players in the tunnel.
Right.
I think this cameras are just rolling on this as players are coming off the field, and they're filming Mike Evans walking off the field in Carolina after the loss. And you can see Mike Evans being asked by one of the officials, 2 of them actually, handing him a card or something for an autograph to sign something.
Now, this situation is they've got kids at home. I would guess 90% chance, I think, is the truth. Their kid is a Mike Evans fan who has him on his fantasy team.
Probably grandkids for those guys.
Yeah, grandkids, and they want to take it home and give it to their grandkids.
Yeah, it's a well wishes or
right. Which is,
I hope that's all it is.
That's fine if that's your intention. You just can't do it. You can't do it under any circumstances.
Right. So Patriots are favored by 8.5. Which way are you going, Chad?
The Bears to cover the 8.5. This is going to be a miserable slog of a game. Davey Hudson, our meteorologist here in the studio, says that the weather in Foxborough tonight not going to be pretty. I think the offense this game is not going to be pretty, but I like the Bears to cover, and I like the under in this game.
Double it.
Double the spread.
It's absolute blowout
Paul
by
is
the
as
Patriots.
anti-Bears as that you can get.
I am giving the 8.5. Also the under. Chicago's not going to score any points.
I don't think the Patriots will score many either, and that's why I'm going to Outkick.com/bet to take the points. I think it's a very low-scoring game. Go figure. That's how the NFL's been. Patriots defense is what's going to win it.
We're discussing the sports topics you care about from every angle. Catch me, Chad Withrow, and Paul Kuharsky each weekday afternoon, 3 to 6 Eastern, right here at Outkick.com. Stay with us on the Outkick Network.
The news of the day is that Brittany Griner's 9-year sentence for basically vape, weed, whatever you want to call it, has been upheld in a Russian court. You know, the interesting thing, I was looking at this at some notes that I had from before, and the interesting thing is when you go to trial in Russia, it's 99% you're going to get convicted. And did you know this? If you get acquitted in Russia, that the court system, the prosecutor can appeal. Like in the United States, you can't really appeal. In the United States, you appeal a verdict of guilty, not of not guilty. All right, my man Aaron thinks I made a mistake here. I don't think so. And I'm going to tell you why. Top 5 backup quarterbacks of all time. You guys don't know this, all right? You don't understand this, but backup quarterbacks have been uber successful. Now, why are we talking about backup quarterbacks? Well, because the Colts just made a move to, Matt Ryan, and in comes Sam Ehlinger. Now the Colts, and there's articles, all the media in Indianapolis will bend over backwards to protect arguably the worst general manager in the league in Chris Ballard. Now they're saying this has been mulled over for weeks. No, it hasn't. No, I got 2 words for you. My ass. No, it absolutely hasn't. No. Matt Ryan was short-arming the ball. It's funny. Lee talked about that during the game. We forgot about it yesterday. Lee's my wife. We were like, man, Ryan's short-arming. They were not talking about this for weeks. They are lying to you, and the media is protecting you. This decision was not made by the coach or the general manager. This decision was made by Jim Irsay, period. Because he's had enough of these 2 guys, Frank Reich and Chris Ballard. He's had enough. He knows the fan base has had enough. I was vilified for years. You don't know football. I go, I know this. This is a house of frickin' sand. All right. So usually, like Ehlinger, if you want to believe this, backup quarterbacks come in because of injury, and there have been some great ones. I don't know if you guys remember some of these guys, but Doug Williams comes in. Doug Williams, first African-American quarterback to win a Super Bowl. He did it as a backup to a man named Jay Schrader. Jay Schrader was a big arm, big dude guy, drop back, blah, 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 blah. Jay Schrader got hurt. Doug Williams said, no, don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. Takes over, 4 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 22. 4 touchdowns for Doug Williams. Doug Williams throws for 340 yards. He beats John Elway and Denver. Now, I want you to think about this. Think about, well, I'm not good enough to be a starter. And yet this is what guys did. And there's a lot of them. Steve Young, I didn't put in here, Aaron, because I did not think he came in the middle of the season. I felt like he was given the starter's role. You could make the argument that Steve Young, I guess he was a backup, is the best backup, but screw him. He didn't get in here. You guys don't know this name, but the name Earl Morrall, if you are a football fan, resonates with everybody. 1968. It's a long time ago. I'm going to make the argument that he should be number 1, this guy Morrall. 1968, Baltimore. Earl Morrall comes in, Johnny Unitas gets hurt. Morrill plays the entire season, throws for 2,900 yards in an era where people didn't throw the ball much, 26 touchdowns. And listen to this. The backup quarterback becomes the MVP of the league. The legit backup quarterback. MVP. Loses in the Super Bowl. Remember Joe Willie Namath, he of the great chest hair, lounging on his Chase Lounge at the pool, guaranteeing victory. Who did he beat? The Baltimore Colts. Who was the quarterback? Earl Morrill. But Earl wasn't done. Halfway through the season, 1972. Do you know what happened in 1972 in the NFL? I'll tell you. Last undefeated team. 1972, Bob Greasy was the quarterback. He was the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. Greasy, Kick, Zonka, Warfield, Mercury Morris. You kidding me? Larry Little. I used to know Manfield. I used to know their line, for crying out loud. So, ladies and gentlemen, Super Bowl V. Guess who? Guess who starts 11 games? 11 games. Earl Morrill. Earl Morrill starts 11 games, leads the Dolphins to an undefeated season, down 13-6 in the Super Bowl. Greasy gets hurt. Guess what Earl Morrill does? He comes in 16-13. Dallas loses. Earl Morrill wins. Now that's a backup quarterback. He should be number one, but he's not. Au contraire. This guy should be number one. His name is Jim Plunkett. Jim Plunkett came out of Stanford. Jim Plunkett was the number one pick in the draft. By all accounts, Jim Plunkett was an absolute bust in the NFL. He was. Number one pick, golden arm, big arm, smart, Stanford, the whole kit and caboodle. 1980, he's backing up a dude named Dan Pastorini for the Ravens. Raiders, not Ravens. There was no Ravens. Week 5, guess what? Pastorini goes down. 11 games left. 9-2 is what Jim Plunkett went. He wins Super Bowl 25. But he's not done. No. 1983, Mark Wilson, big, long kid from BYU. He's the quarterback of the Raiders. He goes down. Guess who wins the Super Bowl? Jim Plunkett. Guess who's the MVP? Jim Plunkett. I don't know what to tell you, but that's pretty good. No, that's really good. Jim Plunkett became the first, what do they say? What do they call him? Latin? I don't know what all we're supposed to talk. You know, you guys got to tell you. He was a Hispanic kid. So he was ethnic. Let's put it that way. So he became the first ethnic quarterback to win a Super Bowl. It's pretty good. See, backup quarterbacks have always done big things. This isn't like, well, we're giving up on our season if you've got the right guy. Oh, by the way, my man Dylan wanted me to make sure that I talked about who. Who at number 2. Shouldn't really have him at number 2. Because when you look at the resume of Nick Foles and you compare the resume to, Earl Morrill, 2 Super Bowls, Jim Plunkett, 2 Super Bowls. But let's be honest, we're all victims of latest is the greatest, aren't we? I guess. What have you done for me lately? It's like that Paula Abdul song, what have you done for me lately? Well, so Nick Foles is in there. We all know the story. Nick Foles, 2017. Now, Nick Foles didn't play until week 14. And I'm thinking to myself, this is interesting because I used to watch Nick Foles. I've told this story many times. I had seats right behind the visitors' bench at Lucas Oil Stadium, 6 rows right behind it. And I always found myself watching the bench. I like to watch the body language of the players. I like to watch the body language of the famous guys. Like Jalen Ramsey was a complete nothing as a teammate. So was Nick Foles. Nick Foles is the one guy I liked the least. I did. I liked Nick Foles the absolute least. Why did I like him the least? He never really seemed connected to his teammates. He walked around like this. I didn't like him. Doesn't matter if I like him. The hell does that matter? I'm just a bald-headed guy in a basement. But the fact of the matter is, Foles in 2017, week 14, takes over. Foles in 2017 decides, you know what? I'm going to get really good. And if you remember, if you think about Nick Foles in 2017, he wasn't just good. He was great. Every pass right on the money. He looked like a real deal. He looked like a leader. Now, Nick Foles wins the Super Bowl MVP, and Nick Foles goes to Jacksonville and other places, and it doesn't really work out. Nick Foles right now is the backup quarterback to Sam Ehlinger. Now, no offense to Sam Ehlinger or offense to Sam Ehlinger, but if you're Nick Foles and you're still in the NFL, which means you still have a little bit of it, you should be able to beat out Sam Ehlinger. But he didn't. Oh, by the way, you Colts fans, the Colts are saying, at least Frank Reich is saying, that Sam Ehlinger is, quote, special. Let me give you the list of players that Frank Reich and Chris Ballard say are special. Basically, every guy that comes to their team is special. Matt Ryan has that it factor. Okay. Carson Wentz and I, Frank Reich, are soulmates. Blood brothers in Christ, that kind of thing. It's like, okay, all right. I'm going to be on this all day. I am. I swear to God, I'm going to be on this all day. The best backup ever. You know, Trent Green is a great guy. Trent Green played football at Indiana. He's younger than me. Hell, everybody's younger than me. But Trent Green was supposed to be the greatest show on turf's quarterback. I don't even know if it was going to be called the greatest show on turf with the Rams. Trent Green was supposed to be the guy. The guy. And he signed a big deal to be the guy. Next thing you know, guess what happened? I'll tell you what happened. He got hurt. I give you the name Wally Pipp. Don't get Wally pipped. But Trent Green gets hurt. So what happens? Kurt Warner, and you know the rest of the story. You do. You know the rest of the story. The rest of the story, quite frankly, is, I don't know, greatest show on turf evolves. Boom. All right. Next thing you know, they, being the Rams, win the Super Bowl. Next thing you know, Kurt Warner is the Super Bowl MVP. He wins 2 Super Bowl MVPs, and he's 2-time MVP. This from a dude that played, as you know, at Northern Iowa. This from a dude that was sacking groceries. Hell, Kurt Warner is so good that they made a movie about his life. Now, I don't know if it was a good movie. I don't know if it was a bad movie. I just know they made a movie about the man's life. How about them apples? So you got to go, Aaron, with Kurt Warner. When they make a movie out of Steve Young's life, then I'm paying attention to it. But until they do, then Kurt Warner is the king. Kurt Warner gets to wear the crown as the greatest backup. He's not. Earl Morrall probably is, but they made a movie of his life. We tip our crown to you, Kurt Warner. Question for you Indianapolis people. Question. Meghan Markle, it was announced yesterday, is coming to Indianapolis. Why? Like, would you go see Meghan Markle? I don't know. What? Hey, how is Suits? I don't know. Would I go see Meghan Markle? I don't know. All right, let's continue talking about backups for a moment. Dave Carroll says, if Ehlinger is so special, how did 200 picks go before him? So special, but not special enough to start in place of Ryan. Jeez. Can somebody in this regime just tell the truth? Here's what I've always said, and this is something I wish you all would join me in. Can we wait to talk about special until they do something? It's just my opinion. But let's wait until they actually do something before we refer to everyone as special. All right, here's another thing. Man, wearing a Rubio shirt and a DeSantis hat was brutally attacked yesterday at Hialeah Racetrack in Miami. Now, when did all this start? When did so many people lose their minds because of outfits, of gear? Like, Curb Your Enthusiasm is a fantastic television show. And Curb Your Enthusiasm has an episode where Larry Sanders is wearing a MAGA hat in LA because he doesn't want anybody to talk to him. He doesn't want anybody speaking to him. So he puts on this MAGA hat, particularly one of his friends that continually wants to meet him for lunch. Can anybody tell me, when did this start? When did it start that wearing a Rubio shirt or wearing a DeSantis hat gets you a beating? Did it start with Trump? Used to be, if people didn't like a candidate that you or maybe somebody in your neighborhood was supporting, what'd you do? People would rip up yard signs. They didn't beat the hell out of you because you're wearing a shirt. Will somebody please explain that to me? That makes no sense. None. Zip. Zero. We got to get back to some type of common sense in our country. We've got to get back to some type of, I don't know, what's the right word? Just be people. ABC News had something yesterday. Too many white visitors at national parks is an existential crisis. Headline, ABC News, America's national parks face existential crisis over race. Under a mostly white workforce, visitation threatens parks' survival and public health. Because white people are going to parks. That is an existential threat to the world that we live in. Because white people have decided, I'm going to go to Yellowstone. Let me go to Yellowstone. Let me go to Zion National Park. That's an existential threat. All right. Okay. I mean, if that's what you're telling me, and that's ABC News. Do you actually ever get your news from ABC, CBS, NBC? I wonder how many people do or don't. I know ratings are in the toilet. I know ratings for Fox News are like 1 through 10. But do you really? Adidas is exiting their partnership with Ye, a.k.a. Kanye West. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't blame him. I don't blame him one bit. I've told you this before, and I'll tell you again. My brother, married into a Jewish family. My brother's children, my nephews and nieces, are raised Jewish. I love the Jewish community. I do. I've gotten to know, obviously, the Jewish community better than I would have by having a brother with a family that's Jewish. I belong to what had been a longtime Jewish golf course, Broadmoor. I thought that what Kanye West said was absurd, ridiculous, and no going back from. Everybody, my opinion, that sponsors Kanye West should exit Kanye West. I don't think it's right to be that popular and have anti-Semitic views, the anti-Semitic views that Kanye West have. You can tell me I'm wrong and people can say whatever they want. The sportswear giant said it was ending an almost decade-long collaboration with the musician after putting it under review. It would immediately terminate the partnership. Apparently, Adidas has been under fire because it was slow to react to Kanye West. It had come under increasing pressure to drop the star after his comments targeting Jewish people, including a tweet that resulted in him getting suspended for that. He had a shirt, and this is absolutely absurd, this part of it. Bloomberg Opinion said he also had a T-shirt at a catwalk that said White Lives Matter. Well, If that bothers you, I don't know what to tell you. The company said the termination would have a short-term negative impact of up to $246.5 million on its full-year net income, given the high percentage of sales in the final quarter. So what they're saying there is that they're being a martyr. They're getting rid of Kanye because of ethics, and it's going to hurt their bottom line, but they don't care. If that's true, good for them. Apparently, it has been very difficult for Adidas. Last week, it cut its full-year forecast for sales growth and profits amid China's COVID-19 restrictions and lower demand in the United States and European market. There you go. Kanye has a shoe. It's called a Yeezy. My stepson has one. They're pretty cool shoes, I'm not going to lie. They cost $1,500. This is a world I do not understand. This is a world I can never get down with. The shoes that I wear currently are Under Armour that have been through literally everything. I got to up my shoe game, but I don't understand the shoe game. But I do understand money. And I do understand that if Adidas is actually feeling strongly about the statements of Kanye West, then God bless you. That's good. I mean, what the hell? Stand up. Even if you're going to lose some profits, good, and I applaud you. As I said, I don't know. You never know what you're saying, how it's going to be. What's the right word? How it's going to be perceived. So I guess I can say I really, really, really have gotten to know and enjoy the Jewish community. I mean, is that bad to say? I'm sure somewhere it is. A 65-year-old man, ladies and gentlemen, was released from the hospital Monday because a grizzly bear was attacking him. All right? He was hunting with his son in Wyoming. Next thing you know, he fired at a grizzly bear. The grizzly bear disengaged and left. However, the guy shot himself in the leg. I don't know how he did it, but he did. So he's getting a grizzly bear off of him. Now, the grizzly bear is the most dangerous of your bears. A lot of bears will attack you, but the grizzly bear, they'll kill you. They don't care. They'll kill you. That's just what they're going to do. That's how they're raised. They want to eat you. If you are in the crosshairs of a grizzly, you're going to get eaten unless you get a gun, and you better bring a big one. That's how I look at the world. I've had a number of people say, well, I go hunt bears. I go, you hunt grizzlies? No, man, they'll kill you. But I tried. How close do you get to a grizzly? Oh, about from me to Newark, New Jersey. Oh, okay. But anyway, so this guy shoots himself. He's with his son, and you know what he's got to do? He got to figure out how to get out of here. So hunters are smart, man. They got all these GPS devices that just go on and on. Boom! Boom! He gets him out of there. Everything is good, but the dad is okay and discharged, and they did not get eaten from the grizzly bear. I'm going to go back to something before we go to break. I want you to watch something today because this has me nuts. Watch the media in this whole Sam Ehlinger, Matt Ryan deal. Watch how the media is going to go out of their way to protect Frank Reich, the coach, and Chris Ballard, the general manager. Just watch. It's already started. It's really fascinating. Robert Griffin, was it Jr., the third, whatever the hell he is, says that the Colts haven't gotten over the Andrew Luck retirement. That's crap. Get out of here. They just have made bad decisions. They just have brought in people that didn't want to stay. Phillip Rivers was pretty good here in Indianapolis, and then he wanted to get the heck out. Carson Wentz, no good, and now this guy gets benched for Sam Ehlinger. Just watch how the media protects this guy. I personally hope that Sam Ehlinger's great. I hope he's not good. I hope he's great. We'll see. I don't know. If he is, he's going to save some jobs. If he isn't, then there's going to be some jobs lost. And the reason this move was made in the NFL today is because the fan base had enough. Enough is what I always say. Enough. Arash Markazi is going to join us. I don't know about you, but I ain't mad at rooting for LeBron James to lose. I don't know why, And I don't care about Russell Westbrook. Like, I legitimately don't care. Like, Russell Westbrook was supposed to come to Indianapolis. Let me ask you guys and gals here in the great city of Indianapolis, would you want Russell Westbrook here 10 years ago? Yeah. Why the hell would you want Russell Westbrook on your team? And the only reason, ladies and gentlemen, the only reason that the Lakers are interesting is because LeBron James plays on them. And listen to me right here. The greatest nickname in the history of sports, street clothes, is what Charles Barkley calls Anthony Davis. Street clothes. That's what he calls him. Why? Because he's always hurt. And guess what he's wearing? Street clothes. That's right. Street clothes. I got a question for you politically. So I'm noticing as we get closer to midterms, excuse me, all of a sudden the stock market seems to be going up. Interesting. Very interesting. All of a sudden, it's going up. Hillary Clinton said the other day that Republicans have a plan to steal the 2024 election. Wow. I remember, I'm with Clay Travis, I remember when that was a direct threat to our democracy. But now that Hillary says it, we're all in on it. Red wave a-coming. All right, let's talk. Let's talk all kinds of stuff. Are the Chargers any good? Are the Lakers any good? Who's any good? Tell you who's not any good, the Pacers. Tell you who's not any good, the Colts. I got a headache. I'll be right back.
Was there a moment that you always look back to from Black Hawk Down and you said to yourself in that moment, I am not making it out. Like, I will not survive today because of this one thing?
It was kind of the entire day, the entire night. There was a portion of time, I think, in the middle of the night where things kind of calmed down and it wasn't as chaotic, and we were just kind of sitting waiting for guys in helicopters to get extricated and things like that. And it wasn't until the sun started to kind of peak back up where you're like, oh, this is going to turn back on again. But for the initial assault and 2 or 3 times that I went out into the city, it was just, I don't think any of us are going to make it out alive. And so every time we would kind of get back and be secure and all right, get more ammo, and we're going back out to try and find this other crash site. And I didn't think that it was happening for any of us. I kind of came to peace. I was just telling my son about this actually the other day, but I kind of came to peace with, okay, if I get hit in the chest, like I've got a plate carrier, hopefully that stops it. If I get hit in the arms or the legs, chances are I'll live. And if I get hit anywhere else, it's probably going to be pretty quick and traumatic and over. So I hope that I remember thinking specifically in the middle of the afternoon, I hope that I can just like look at the blue sky and have something peaceful to look at, not this whole, what I'm looking at in front of me. I hope that's not my last moments. And that kind of gave me a little bit of peace.
Hey, you know him, you love him. The Sporting Tribune, 1090 The Mightier, 985 The Fan. You name it, all you got to do is go to Arash Markazi on Twitter, and you will find the man. Let's talk a little L.A. here first. We're going to get to the Lakers, but I thought the Chargers were going to be good. Like Justin Herbert was the golden child in the offseason. What are we doing with the Chargers?
Here's the issue with the Chargers, and I have the same problem with the Clippers, and it's not factually based. This is just coming from years of watching a particular team. As good as they may be on paper, there's always something that makes you think something's going to go wrong. Someone's going to get hurt, something's going to happen, and that is the case with the Chargers. I mean, the amount of guys who've gone down, it is ridiculous. And listen, you don't want to make excuses, but when your quarterback has a cracked rib, you're losing your defensive lineman, you're losing your pass rusher, Joey Bosa, J.C. Jackson, Keenan Allen. You go down the list of guys that they have lost. And so year after year, that is the problem with this team. On paper, they were one of, if not the most talented team. But we've seen this happen before with the Chargers. I mean, I can't tell you how frustrated fans are with this team. So, Tom Telesco's been there for 10 years. I don't think he has much room at this point for excuses. Brandon Staley, on the other hand, depending on how Dean Spanos feels about him, I mean, this is year 2. That being said, some of his play calling, absolutely atrocious. But, yeah, listen, same thing with the Chargers. I mean, they're always going to find a way to come short.
Reason I'm asking you is I am the eternal optimist, and here in Indianapolis, we have our own issues. But I look at it like, if you can get this right, maybe you're fighting for a wild card, and the Chargers are in the mix, so I'm hoping they stinks. All right, I asked this the other day, and I asked it of myself, okay? I really liked LeBron James. I was the head basketball coach at Bowling Green State University, a couple hours from Akron. LeBron was coming up. I went to the school, and I recruited a couple of his teammates, Romeo Travis and Drew Joyce III. Everybody at the school loved LeBron. I talked to teachers, janitor, everybody. So I like LeBron. But I got to tell you, this whole Lakers situation, I'm glad when they lose. I am. What's wrong?
You're not the only one. I mean, Twitter just has an absolute party every time that they lose, and that's happening more often than not. Again, 0-3 on the season. The problem is how poorly constructed this team is. And the absolute disgrace is that they knew exactly what they needed to do. There was no question that Russell Westbrook could not be on this team. And I'm not saying that he's a simple contract to sign, but there was no scenario when you saw the way that last season played out that he had any business on this team. The fact that he's on this team right now is ridiculous. Beyond that, though, and you know this, LeBron needs shooters, 100%. And they have no shooting. When I say that they're a bad three-point shooting team, that's not doing it justice because they are historically bad. No team in NBA history through 3 games is shooting about 20%. Again, they're like whether it's 20.9 or 20 point whatever, it's about 20%. It is ridiculous. It's absolutely atrocious. And the fact that Rob Pelinka got a 4-year contract extension for the job he's done the past 2 years, there's so much wrong with this team. I don't know where to begin. But listen, if you're happy when the Lakers lose, you are a very happy person right now.
Well, I don't like living my life that way. But there's just something like, and I don't know what it is. Like, I knew Anthony Davis as a high school kid. I didn't know him well, but so I really want to root for him, but Charles Barkley calls him street clothes, and I can't get that out of my brain. I can't. Is there enough there? You're right about shooters. He's always had James Jones in the corner, I feel like. Is there enough there for LeBron and the folks to get this straightened out?
Here's where, if there is a light at the end of the tunnel, if you're looking for some kind of hope with this team, they're playing well defensively. They are a top 10 defensive team this season. That is a huge improvement. They didn't care. They didn't care a lick last season on defense. They were terrible. At least they care now. So if you're a top 10 defense, what do you got to be offensively? Well, you have LeBron James. You have Anthony Davis. If they can make a move here, and I don't know what team will help them make that move, if they can make a move and just be a top half of the league offensive team, anywhere between 11 to 15, they have a chance. And I know people are going to laugh. They're thinking, oh, they're 0-3. They were not even in the playoffs. You got LeBron James. You got Anthony Davis. You're playing defense. You have a chance. The problem is they have Russell Westbrook, and they are historically bad shooting right now. That could change, But the one hope that they have is they're actually playing good defensively.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a big part of it. I want to go to the Rams. A lot of people, the arm on Stafford, they talked about it before the season. Football people that I respect inside the NFL say, Dan, I don't know. I don't know about the Rams. They going to be able to make a move here?
Well, so the good thing about the Rams is they always do find a way to make the move. If there's a move to be had, whether it's Von Miller last year, like Odell Beckham Jr., they will make that move. The other good thing that they got going for them is that the division is not that good. I mean, despite the 49ers trade for Christian McCaffrey, they got problems, and it's not just a one-player problem there. So if the Rams find a way to beat San Francisco, which will not be a simple task, they have not figured out a way to beat them in the regular season. They beat them in the one game that mattered in the conference championship game. They have not beaten them in the regular season in 3 years. If they can find a way to do it, though, they'll be first place in the division. Again, it is so hard, as you know, Dan, to repeat as champions. No one's done it since the Patriots back in, I think, 03, 04. So it won't be simple. I don't think that they have the horses to repeat this year. I thought they were, I don't want to say very lucky, but they found a way to win. But listen, they still have what it takes to win the division this year and to make it to the postseason.
Hey, I want to go back to the Lakers for just a second. I meant to ask you this earlier. The dude's been in the league for 20 years, LeBron. Is he slowing down? I mean, where is he physically?
You know what? It doesn't look like it. I mean, there are moments when you're watching him play where you're like, I cannot believe this guy is playing in his 20th season. I mean, you go back to, I think it was like the first game of the season against the Warriors, breakaway dunk. I mean, there's moments where you're like, wow. I mean, the fact that he is still right now, and I think you would probably agree, a top 5 player at year 20 is remarkable. So, yes, I mean, listen, he's not the player he was 10 years ago. But when you're talking about him, I mean, if you're putting a list of the top 10 players of the league, there's no doubt that LeBron's on that list, and he's probably still in the top 5.
Yeah, I've only really watched highlights, but I look at him move and I think to myself, my God, I mean, 20 years of that pounding. He's also played USA basketball, so he's played summer times. I mean, the dude has some wear and tear. I get it that he takes care of his body. Let me go this other route with you because I want to stick with the Lakers just for a second. People so far, I know you're losing, so it can't be that great, but Darvin Ham, first year, comes in. Thoughts on that?
You know what? The biggest thing is that he's gotten them to buy in and care. So, like, offensively, I still want to see what they can do. They are a train wreck on the offensive side of the ball. That being said, when you have 2 top 10 players, if they're playing their best, you do have a chance. Defensively, though, he got them to buy in. And that's where, like, I love Frank Vogel, but he lost the locker room or they stopped. I mean, They won a championship 2 years ago, playing great defensively. And if they can continue to buy into what Ham is teaching them, buy in on the defensive side of the ball, continue to be a top 10 defensive team, the offense will come together. And I think whether they trade Westbrook or bench him or tell him to go home, it'll be an addition by subtraction. Because, Dad, I mean, I go into that Clippers game, the first home game of the season, 0 for 11. I mean, if you just had like anyone else like in that game, like they don't lose that game again. They're 0-3. They really should be 2-1. I mean, they had the lead in the fourth quarter against the Clippers. They had the lead late against Portland. They got to find a way to close out those games.
All right, what the hell's going on with Cam Akers? First game of the year, this whole thing started. What's going on here?
They haven't really talked about it a ton, but they've been very public in saying, listen, he's not with the team. We're trying to trade him. The problem is when that happens, I mean, there's not much of a trade market. I mean, the rest of the league knows that you are like either going to trade him or cut him. And so it's an unfortunate situation because the Rams could certainly use a tailback right now. They were in the market for Christian McCaffrey. That did not happen. But, whether he doesn't like the system, whether he and McVay don't see eye to eye, I'm not exactly sure. But obviously, he's a player that they could use right now.
I remember opening day, like he was out, but I think it was Henderson was the running back, and you're going, well, wait a second here. This guy was, I know he got hurt last year, but he came back, worked hard, and next thing you know, opening day there was a problem here.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't get a ton of touches, and so something must have been lingering for quite some time. Where again, non-factor really in that first game, and it really continued. And I can only imagine, things were said between him and the coaches, him and perhaps other players, to the point where again, he's not a part of the team. They are trying to trade him. What they can get for him, I'm not exactly sure. Again, when things rise to the point where the coach is effectively saying we're trying to trade this guy, you're basically looking at a 7th round pick or something like that.
Hey, are we good with Ohtani in Los Angeles? Is there, he made some statements, however you want to read into them. Is Ohtani good here with the Angels?
Yeah, so this is a big offseason for them. I mean, on a variety of fronts, but the team will be sold, and it'll be sold for a record price. Now, who buys the team and what they plan with the team, that'll, I think, really speak to what the future of Shohei will be. By the way, his comments, and again, things get lost in translation, I understand, but there's no way he should be happy with what's happening. He has had 2 historic seasons, and they haven't sniffed the playoffs. I mean, Dan, it's not like they missed the playoffs on the last day of the season. Their season was basically done halfway through the season. So time and time again, and Mike Trout's dealt with this for 10 years, but Shohei Ohtani's like, me and Mike Trout are 2 of the best players in baseball history, transcendent talents, and we can't sniff the postseason? Of course, he's like, listen, I want to play meaningful games here.
I'm totally with you. Like, he should be upset. He should have questions, because here's how I look at baseball. I look at baseball like, I know everybody says Mike Trout's the best player in baseball. You talk to baseball people, Ohtani maybe second best, however you want to go about it. But in baseball, historically, you've got to have like a postseason moment. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have a big, you know what I'm saying? And whatever
100%.
they've put around him hasn't been near good enough.
I mean, you look at it that, and then, Mike Trout only went to the playoffs one time. Best record in baseball that season. They got swept. So he didn't even have like that moment. So it's not that you necessarily have to win the whole thing or win a championship. That helps, certainly. But when they're not even playing meaningful games in October, when they're not even sniffing the playoffs, that's the problem with this team. And it's, by the way, it's frustrating for Major League Baseball. I mean, can you imagine having Shohei Ohtani like in the postseason where he's pitching game 1, hitting a home run in game 1? I mean, now, so it's not just some, game during the course of the season that nobody's watching. It's October baseball.
I agree. Like, can you imagine Ohtani and Trout against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium? I mean, that's what, again, a lot of people, because baseball's so long, a lot of people don't pay attention to it. But, man, hey, Kawhi Leonard back? We good? The Clippers, are they the team in the city, or what do we got?
Well, listen, they're clearly the best team in the city. The problem is the consistency there. I mean, they really are trying to figure out how to play these guys, John Wall coming off the bench. But really the big story, Kawhi coming off the bench. They're taking their time with Kawhi. So load management, once again, a story with the Clippers. The problem there, though, Dan, and you know this well, you do have to play together at some point. So again, the Clippers are the most talented team on paper. At some point, they got to figure out a way to play together. They've played 3 games. They have not looked good in all 3 games. They are 2-1. They got blown out by the Suns. They'll be fine. But at some point, Kawhi, Paul George, John Wall, like all these guys have to play together. And the consistency, that's been a problem so far.
Do we like John Wall so far?
Yeah, listen, no expectations really, right? I mean, when you look at like what's happened to him and in Houston basically told to stay home, he's looking like a productive player. And so really that's all you can hope for. And he's really bought into this role. And so, I mean, if John Wall can be this amazing sixth man off the bench for this team, that would be huge.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like things are going good. Hey, I really appreciate you taking 15 minutes with us, my friend. Thanks again. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, man, we covered a lot of grounds, man. We just covered a ton of ground right there in L.A. Look, I don't know about you. I don't know how you go about it. But for whatever the reason, I root against LeBron James. I don't want to. I don't want to root against somebody. I want to root for somebody. Like, I'm not rooting against Sam Ehlinger with the Colts now. I didn't root against Matt Ryan. I want to root for somebody. But I don't wake up and go, all right, well, LeBron is playing. What time? Oh, okay. And then, set my clock around watching LeBron take on Sacramento. But when I open up my phone and I go, well, wait a second. LeBron, what? They got beat good. I don't know why that is. And people say, well, you're a hater. I don't think I am. I don't think I am a hater. I think I'm a guy that feels like most other people. Sometimes you get too much of a guy. McAfee said it yesterday on the show, didn't he? He said yesterday, he goes, hey, look, it's too much of me. At some point, he said, I'm going to go away. Well, I hope not, but I get what he's saying. I do. I absolutely get what he is saying. Okay, let's review. The big news of the day, Brittany Griner's 9-year sentence in a Russian jail was appealed. That appeal today has been denied. I'll read it. A Moscow court rejected Brittany Griner's appeal of her 9-year sentence on drug charges. This is the key, a completely anticipated result in a trial that U.S. and international officials have called an illegitimate proceeding. Now, I don't know, but I know this. I keep saying this. I always try to think of things in terms of the other people. We're sitting here in the United States. There are certain people that have worldwide appeal. Steph Curry is among them. LeBron James obviously is among them. You got to be very careful when you're trying to do things diplomatically to free somebody in terms of what you say. So when we say, well, she's unlawfully detained, if I'm Russia, I go, wait a second. These are our laws. They're not your laws. They're our laws. So screw you. Then, of course, the problem is billions of dollars going to the Ukraine. Who is the Ukraine fighting? They're fighting the Russians. Who's a political pawn in this? Got to be Brittany Griner. Did Brittany Griner screw up? Yes. Should she have gone to jail by Russian law? I don't study Russian law. But as soon as she got arrested, I will say this, as soon as she got arrested or detained or whatever you want to call it, every single person that you read said this was let's put it this way, a very serious violation of Russian law, certainly as compared to the United States. I've been yelling, screaming for them to get her out. Now, here's the other thing. This is from, and I really like this man as a reporter, TJ Quinn from ESPN. I think he's terrific. I do. Several officials in TJ Quinn's article are saying that the Russians will not negotiate seriously until after the midterm elections, not wanting to give the Biden administration a potential victory. I don't know. I don't know. If I'm other countries, I want Biden in office. I mean, Biden is crushing the soul of the United States. I mean, he and his cohorts are just doing irrevocable damage to what's going on here. I mean, my God, there is no law and order anymore. There's no common sense. So I guess that's true. I guess. Griner's already been held for 9 months. The question is, how quickly will she be transferred to one of Russia's notorious penal colonies? She was sentenced to serve out her term in one, but has remained in a relatively safer Moscow jail. There you go. All right. All right, let's talk about last night. Let's talk about the New England Patriots. Prior to the game, Bill Belichick said that he was going to rotate Zappe and Mac Jones. Mac Jones started. Mac Jones short leash. Mac Jones pulled. Zappe comes in. Bam, 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 bam. Next thing you know, you've got 2 touchdowns and you are back in the ball game. So people are saying, an article, well, it appears that Belichick and his plan was not conveyed to the players. Well, I got to explain something to you. I've told you this before. Going back to the 90s, Bill Belichick was an assistant coach, defensive coordinator with Bill Parcells. They used to come to Bloomington. And the one conversation me as a young coach sat in there and listened to was Bob Knight, Bill Belichick, and Bill Parcells talking about games, coaching in game. Coaching in game, they always said, was organic. I don't know if they use that word or not, but it's an easy word to use. Meaning every game is different. Every half is different. Every decision can't be based on what happened for you last time. Or every decision can't be based on anything other than the situation now, what you've prepared for. So they prepared to swing it with 2 quarterbacks. Guess what? The one quarterback didn't move him, needed a spark. Dabo Swinney did it this weekend. Well, you need a spark, right? You go to the guy. Here comes Bailey Zappe. Guess what happens? Bailey Zappe gave him a spark. 3 scoreless drives, a pick. Bailey Zappe in 2 scores, 14 points. Now, people that are worried, listen to this. Sources have indicated to Pro Football Focus that Jones was going to be active but wasn't going to play the entire contest. Everybody was upset. Well, not upset. Let me read it accurately. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman said on the broadcast that both Zappe and Jones might play. Schefter hinted, all right. Belichick, after the game, said, hey, look, high ankle sprain, week 3. Jones, that was a factor in his decision to play both. The decision to pull Jones was not based, according to Belichick, the decision to pull Jones after the interception was not based on health or performance. Jones was aware he was only going to play part of the game, said Belichick. Jones would have returned to the game, but the score got out of hand. He can't envision the Patriots running a quarterback platoon. Jones was the stand-up guy, Mac Jones. He said that it was a good plan that Belichick had. Did a really good job of explaining it to him. But, of course, a wide receiver, we played at Jacoby Myers, said, well, I don't like the way he's treated. Shut up. It's tough as a man. These guys are all men until they get in trouble. As a man, to see someone who works so hard kind of get that kind of treatment. But at the end of the day, we all trying to feed our family. Yeah, shut up with that. What kind of treatment did Mac Jones get? So Zappe didn't work hard? Is that what this clown is saying? I mean, is that it? I don't know. So some other guy, Onwenu, told reporters he's a guard. He didn't expect Zappe to play, but didn't know what was going on. Zappe told reporters he found out Jones would start about the same time you all did, and people are mad now at Bill Belichick. Here's the deal. I have said this, and I said this earlier. Yes, people have, me included, been on Bill Belichick because he hasn't won without Brady in New England since Brady's gone. I get it. Okay. But the reason they're not winning is in these comments, and you may not understand this, but God do I as a former coach, if you're not all in, you're evaluating. And I've been using the term evaluating a lot. Don't evaluate as a player. Don't evaluate. Once you start evaluating, well, I got it the same time as you did. Well, as a man, it's hard to see another man get treated that you're evaluating. Don't evaluate. I mean, you can. And if you evaluate, chances are at some point you're going to lose and you'll stop evaluating. At some point, you won't be nearly as good as you are and you'll stop evaluating. It's that simple. But when you evaluate, you are splintering. Instead of saying, hey, look, I don't know, play whoever the coach thinks should play. That's what teams that win usually do. Now, there are always exceptions to those. I get it. But 9 out of 10 teams that win in whatever league, they don't have players that are evaluating. They're not players that are robots. They keep the stuff in-house. They ask a question, get an answer, and pretty much trust the answer. You know, we always talk about the word trust, don't we? In sports, you got to trust somebody. You know, I don't trust that coach. Oh, okay. But the truth of the matter is, this is where trust is involved. Don't evaluate, ask. You got a question? Ask. You want to know something? Talk. Speak. Things don't happen in a vacuum. Speak. Speak. Coach will tell you. If you don't like the answer, you don't trust the answer, then you have a problem. But to go to the media and say, well, you know, no, I don't trust. Shut up. That's literally my answer. Shut up. That's all I got anymore. I don't want to understand it. I don't want to know. I don't want to figure out what some guy named Jacoby Myers is saying. I don't care. Shut up. You want to win? Shut up. Bill Belichick will get you some wins, it seems like anyway. The system will get you something done, but shut up. NFL players are the softest players in the world. I say it all the time. Toughest men, softest mentally. Remember, we can't have a quarterback controversy because it'll splinter the locker room. What does that mean? That means players are evaluating. It does. So don't evaluate. Just go play. Well, players are brains, man. Players are smart. Yeah, players are really smart. And if you got a question, ask the coach. I tell my son that when he was at Michigan. I told my son that when he was at Ohio State. I tell my stepdaughter that at Harvard. Don't evaluate. Well, you know, this coach isn't. Don't evaluate. You have questions? Sit down. Talk. Ask. Be respectful, but ask. Doug Williams, Earl Morrall, Jim Plunkett, Nick Foles, Kurt Warner. I totally forgot. Aaron, you said Steve Young. I totally forgot that Tom Brady came in the middle of the season. He did. He got a tuck rule. They cheated. I totally forgot. I did. I'm sorry, I did. Totally, completely, 1,000% forgot that Brady came in the middle of a year, or I think I should have had him as my all-time backup. He probably is the guy who has had the career. Yeah. Hey, LeBron James thinks the media is out to get him. Why would the media be out to get LeBron James? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about LeBron James and the media out to get LeBron James. The media kisses the backside of LeBron James. He ain't the king. I'm the king. We'll be right back.
What's up, guys? It's Tommy. Don't miss a single episode of Tommy Lahren is Fearless by checking out Outkick.com. But if you did miss an episode, here's what you missed. The average cost of a wedding in 2022 is around $27,000. Double that and add thousands more, and you'll have around the total my dumb ass decided to spend on my own upcoming wedding. Now look, I was and am one of those brides who wanted to keep it small. I didn't want a big wedding. I didn't want to spend the equivalent of a hefty house down payment on one night in a barn in Nashville, but then bam, it happened. I'm honestly still flabbergasted by it because while our wedding is going to be very nice, our food is going to be very good, and our alcohol is going to be overflowing, it's not like we're inviting 400 people, and it's not like Madonna is performing, for goodness sakes. So how the hell did it get so expensive? Like anything else these days, welcome to Brandon's America. For today's edition of Final Thoughts, I'm going to share my top 5 wedding tips for those who are about to be, or even think about getting married. Here we go. Number 5, get a wedding planner. It seems like a ridiculous expense to pay someone an arm and a leg to coordinate other people, places, and things you've also spent an arm and a leg on. But trust me on this, even if you're the most organized, creative, and put together person or couple, you need a wedding planner. After all you've done and all you've spent, the last thing you want to do and worry about is corralling and hurting vendors on your big day. Something is always going to go wrong, and it's worth it to pay someone to help you put out fires and clean up messes. Number 4. If you can't afford the wedding, don't spend money on the wedding.
Do you ever think that a Republican-based person will ever be on a national broadcast telling folks to vote? Yesterday, Barack Obama was on with Peyton Manning and Eli Manning discussing the importance of voting. Regardless of where you stand, you're taking 15 to 20 minutes to let your voice matter. There you go. All right. There you go. There you go. Sylvie is going to join us coming up here in a minute. We're going to get my friend Mark Silverman from Chicago to talk about last night. It's going to be great. I love talking to Sylvie. You know, this show being organic is spectacular. Dylan, I'm going to send you the link. But do you think we will ever have, in the history of our deal, do you think we'll ever have a Republican person on there? You know, when the NBA tells you to vote, they're telling you to vote Democratic. They're telling you to vote liberal. When the NFL is telling you to vote, I saw Tyrann Mathieu telling me to vote. Tyrann Mathieu telling me to vote is nice. It's fun. It's good. You should vote. If you can't figure out that the way things were, whether you like Donald Trump or not, with Republicans controlling stuff, if you can't figure that out, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you at all. I mean, this is a mess. It is a complete mess. So Obama's out here telling you to vote. Perfect timing. Yeah, right before. You know, it's interesting. There's not a chance in hell, if you really break it down. Oh boy, there is absolutely no chance that President Obama is voting for Joe Biden. I know he's going to say he is. I know he's supposed to. I got this thing stuck in my ear. You want to see something funny? Watch me try to pull this thing out of my ear. The show may have to stop. I just tried to get this out of my ear to make it so that I could hear. It's insane, this show. This show is nuts. But I would like one time a Republican-based deal to say get out and vote. So I'm going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to say get out and vote. Yeah. Hey, look, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not. I'm common sense. I was brought up with, I don't know, unions. My father was a teachers union lobbyist. I was brought up with common sense. There you go. That's it. Period. And frankly, I would love to see somebody, somewhere, somehow, that has common sense get on here and tell us to vote. Not some president who knows that Joe Biden is awful. Come on. So at some point, can we get that done for us? At some point, hey, by the way, Mark Silverman's going to join us, I hope, coming up here in a minute. But it is, regardless of where you stand on the issues, you're taking 15 to 20 minutes out to let your voice be heard. It makes a big difference. All right. If you're unhappy with the way the things are, the good news is the way our system's set up, you can actually bring about some changes, as we see in sports. When teams are playing together, they can play better than if they are divided. These dudes are dividing the hell out of the country every day. Obviously, the country right now, people are sick and tired of politics because there's so much yapping. People are always looking for controversy and to stir stuff up because that's clickbait and attracts attention. Most people don't think that way. Most people are just trying to figure out, how to do right for my family on the job. When we participate, that we leave it to folks whose business it is to divide. Well, there's nobody more divisive than the Democratic Party right now. Now, honest to God. Honest to God. Obama is, the Gazda. He's the man. He's the man that we're all supposed to pay attention to. I could refer to him like 30 Rock referred to him as the do-nothing president, and I think it's great. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Let me know when we have Sylvie, will you? Did you guys send him the link? Anyway, it's awesome. I love it. Fantastic. Good for Obama. But I'm telling you right now, you should get out and vote. And there's no way in hell you should keep these people in office. There's no way. There's zero chance you should. And every person in every city should be on the lookout for voter fraud. Don't go to sleep. Like, stand outside your voting place. Do the thing that you need to do. Because, hey, look, all of a sudden, man, where'd those ballots come from? I don't know. Where'd they come? I don't know. But they did. Hey, Jim Nance is going to call his last Final Four in 2023. Jim Nance is terrific. Nobody's more vanilla than Jim Nance. There's my boy. I don't know if he can hear me. Let me know when we have Mark Silverman. We got to get reaction from Chicago. And there's nobody better than Sylvie to get reaction from Chicago. He is Chicago sports, Mark Silverman. It's Sylvie and Waddle. Waddle and Sylvie, excuse me. I just screwed it up. Hey, Dylan, does he have us? Love him. Kicked cancer's ass. I mean, kicked it. I mean, beat it like a drum. That's right. Yeah, he did. Sylvie, you got me?
I got you. Danny, what's going on?
You. Me and you. Mostly you. Hey.
Finally, I got an invite.
Last night. What am I doing? How could I not have you on more? Last night, what'd you think?
I was shocked. I was shocked. I mean, I was not expecting that. What we've been hoping for, Dan, is growth from Fields, and I think we finally saw close to a full game from Fields playing good football, and I think we saw that brief moment after they had a good first quarter where he looked like he was going to take that step back that we've seen in all these games. But then right before the half, when it was the Zappy show and the East Coast was going to get what they wanted to get, that they were going to get that Bailey Zappy and the Zappy Hour stuff, Fields took them down and they scored before the half. And after that, the Bears took off and the Bears defense made adjustments at halftime. And it was Bailey Zippo after that. He didn't score again. And they didn't get the narrative that they wanted, Dan, where they wanted to make it like this big Zappy Hour party, and it was all Bears after that.
Hey, Bears defense looked great. Is that the best they've looked?
Yes, it's not even close. They don't have a lot of studs, and even Roquan Smith, I don't know if you remember the Thursday night football game, the big takeaway there, he wants to get paid, and he wants to get paid like a guy who rushes the passer. And Carson Wentz leveled him. Carson Wentz is playing with a broken finger in that game, and he gets pancaked in that game. So the last time we saw him locally, the last time everyone saw Roquan Smith nationally, Carson Wentz is pancaking you, and Roquan Smith comes out now again, back-to-back national TV games, and he put on a show yesterday. I mean, like a lot of people were tweeting that Roquan's going to get paid, so that was good tape Roquan Smith put on for the national audience yesterday.
Because Roquan Smith was loud before the season, right?
Yes. Roquan Smith, he didn't practice. He was the hold in, that's the new thing. And I think you've seen it with his fitness level. He looks a little thicker. They wanted to get a deal done with him, but he wants to get paid the most out of any inside linebacker who doesn't rush the passer. And it's a lot of money. He wants over $100 million. And right now they just don't want to pay a guy, who tackles guys and a guy who will get interceptions. But they got so much work to do, Dan, as you know. They don't have guys who can block for Fields. They don't have guys who can catch the football. They don't have guys who can rush the passer. And those are all more important positions in a rebuild than a guy who just gobbles up and tackles guys and rack up tackles.
We saw it here with Andrew Luck. We saw it with RG3. You see it all the time, a running quarterback. They actually run sweeps, the old wing T where you just slap it to the quarterback and he runs left. Concern for the health of Justin Fields?
Absolutely, yeah. And, that was the first game too, Luke Getsy. They're all learning. First of all, Dan, Ryan Poles is a first-time general manager. Matt Eberflus, you know him from Indy, is a first-time head coach. Luke Getsy is a first-time play caller. And then the quarterback, Justin Fields, is still basically a rookie. He had such a bad rookie year. The way they yo-yoed him in and out of the lineup, the way they didn't give him reps his rookie year. So it's like his rookie season all over again, and they're learning. And yesterday's game was the first time that they designed the runs. But what they're doing is they're exposing him more and more to hits. So what they did was it worked, but he just continues to get hit. And that line stinks as it is. So he's getting hit. We had Kurt Warner on our show yesterday, and I think he breaks down the tape as well as anybody. What Justin does is not only does he have a bad line, so he gets hit to begin with, but a lot of times, and Aikman did a pretty good job breaking this down yesterday, there are times when he just needs to throw the football away, and his best asset is making plays with his feet, and he'll run when all he needs to do is just throw the ball out of bounds and just take the incompletion. And like yesterday, early in the game, he took a 10-yard loss, fumbled the football, and all he needed to do was throw an incompletion. And instead he got hit, he fumbled the football, and he lost 10 yards. So that's an accumulation of another body blow that he doesn't need to take. But look, I'm not going to bitch and I'm not going to moan today, because what we saw at least in the small picture, was growth from Fields, and we've been asking for more of a full game of good stuff. So we're going to take what we can get, because we're starving here in Chicago for a quarterback.
Man, well, God dang, since before you and I were even thought of being born as the last quarterback, yeah. I mean, Bob Avellini was nice. Gary Huff was okay. Mike Phipps, fine. But let's be honest. Does he have enough around him? Does he have, Montgomery, Moody? Does he have enough weapons? Are there enough there?
No, it's not even close. So Montgomery's a free agent. You're not going to pay a running back. You're not going to pay a running back with Montgomery's skill set unless he takes a massive hometown discount. Herbert's a nice little running back. Mooney's going to be like a building block, but Mooney's a 2 or he's a 3. You're going to need at least 2 more wide receivers. Cole Kmet's not the player they thought, but he could be a growing guy. Again, that whole offensive line needs a redo. I don't know who stays, but not many of them. So they need they're in the beginning stages of this rebuild, and they have over $100 million to spend. They have all their draft picks. But that's still not enough, Dan, to get it done in one offseason. The good news is the Packers stink. And we talked about this on our show yesterday, that if there was a good time, it reminds me, if they do this right, Dan, it's like when Brady left the AFC East and the Bills took advantage. It took the Bills several years to get it right around Josh Allen, but they had a smart general manager. They have a smart coach. and they built it right. And now they've taken that division over. The Bears hopefully can do that with what's going on with Green Bay, because the division could be had.
Minnesota, pretty good. You guys, what do you see out of Green Bay?
I see them sucking for a long time. I see them going through. Yes, I mean, look, I'm always good for a good Green Bay sucks chant, but truthfully, we've chanted that for 20 years when they haven't sucked. And you're a Cubs fan like me, and we always love to poke the bear with the Cardinals. But as much as I've hated Cardinals and their fans, I want to be the Cardinals. Even though I want to beat the Cardinals, I want to be the Cardinals. And I want to be the Packers. I want to go from one good quarterback to the other. You mentioned all the bad quarterbacks that we've passed the baton to. They passed the baton from one good quarterback to another. I'll bring it to Indy. Like, from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck, you see what a desperate general manager does, from Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz to Matt Ryan, and what all the bad swings you can take. Packer fans are going to find out how, when you're not lucky going from Favre to Rodgers, that it's not going to be that way. And I think the fall off here is just the beginning. I think they're in for it for some really, really bad years. And I think this is just the start. And once they realize that another quarterback isn't going to fall into their lap, that this could be a years and years thing for Green Bay. So but the number one thing, Dan, is the Bears have to take advantage, and they've got a ton of work to do. And even if the Green Bay Packers do stink, like I'm hoping, and I think they're going to, if the Bears still stink, it doesn't mean a damn.
You know, what will your show be today? You know, one of the things about football that's great is the overreaction to a win, the overreaction, to a loss. My show was chaos at the end because of the benching of Matt Ryan, and today there'll be more reaction. What will your show be today? Bears are great. They can win the division now. They can, what will it be in Chicago after a game like yesterday?
I think, the big picture is last night a turning point for Fields? Will we look back on the game on Monday Night Football and say, that was the game we'll look back on and say that was the start? And now the floor has been set for him, where now maybe the light will go on. And yes, maybe they'll have bad games, but maybe now we're ready to go with a quarterback. But look, we always overreact, like you say. And like there have been games in the past with Cutler and with others where we've always wondered, and it's like a golf game, you have that good round. You have that round where you shoot a 79 and you're like, I'm damn good. And then you go back out, and in the next round you shoot a 96 and you're like, I suck again. And that's what it's like to be a Bears fan. There are more 96 rounds than there are 79s. And we've done this before. The Bears beat the Bucs on national TV 2 years ago, the year they won the Super Bowl, when Tom Brady forgot what down it was. So beating the GOAT in Belichick is cool. You just got to hope that you can build on this. And I don't know if you know this, Dan. Next week they got Dallas. So, that's a real defense. And we'll see really quick on a short week from Monday now to Sunday if this offense can put up some points against a big boy defense there.
Yeah, you got Dallas, and you got a couple home games, so there is opportunity. Hey, what did you think? You mentioned Zappe and all that kind of stuff. What did you think of that whole thing going on in New England with Mac Jones and Zappe? What did you think?
I thought, first of all, I don't know if this is a weird take, but I thought Belichick, who was going to break the record for Papa Bear, if he won the game against the Bears, he would have had the record or would have broken Papa Bear's win total record. I thought he was too well dressed. I don't know if you noticed this. His hair was combed. He's usually all disheveled in the vest. I thought his focus was off last night because of all of this. He was doing things that were not Belichick-like. You know, whether it was not telling guys who was going to play, pulling Mac Jones when he pulled him, the things that he said after the game, I think he was distracted. I don't know what's going on, but I was shocked by how ill-prepared they were. That did not look like a New England Patriots team that I thought the Bears were going to see because, I don't know. To me, it just didn't seem like he had his eye on the ball like he normally does.
You know, Sylvie, he said after the game that Jones wasn't benched for performance or injury. He wasn't benched for either. Okay. All right.
Right after an interception. Yeah, I mean, he throws an interception, and then he's not benched for performance. Again, like, I thought, to me personally, I thought Mac Jones coming off a pretty serious ankle injury. I thought you played Zappy. He's hot. He's doing well. You ride the hot hand. I don't know how good he is in the end. You saw the Bears made adjustments, and they were on to him. But I would have started the game with him. Again, it seemed weird. Belichick seemed a little out of it yesterday.
Hey, last thing. Friend of mine just asked me to ask you, a Bears fan, what is the biggest complaint? Like I saw Fields when he throws a deep ball, man, he lasers that thing. What's the biggest issue with Fields? What's the next step in growth? Take running out of it. Throwing the football. Yeah. What's he got to do?
Make his decisions quicker. Like what the tape shows, there are guys open. Like the open in college is not the same thing as open in the pros. Like the windows that you get in the pros is much smaller. You've got to see it. You've got to be decisive. You've got to throw it. And you've got to be decisive when it's not there to then move off of it and make a decision quickly. Throw it out of bounds. Run. Don't sit. Don't hold on to the ball too long. There are times when he does have the protection in the NFL, sits, holds it too long, gets sacked. And then everyone wants to blame the offensive line. Look at Justin Fields getting sacked again. He had time. He didn't make the decision quick enough. He held the ball too long, and the sack was on him. So he's got to be decisive. He's got to process things a little bit more. Danny's got all the God's gifts. He's got the smarts up here. He's just got to process it better. He's got the athleticism. He's got the arm talent. He's got the strength. He's got the leadership. He's got it all. But as we know, playing quarterback and putting it all together and reacting rather than thinking are two different things.
Hey, last thing. Pretty good night, Chicago against Boston yesterday.
Yeah, I was on the wrong end of that. The Bulls got blown out on opening night by like 34, and I thought they were going to get their ass kicked last night. And they were down 12-0 early. And then the Bears, again, like anyone who tells you, Dan, any of your Chicago buddies who text you and say, yeah, I saw that coming. I knew the Bears were going to go to New England and win. Nobody saw that coming. Maybe with the 8.5, maybe I'd understand that. But I didn't think that we'd walk away with one, let alone two wins last night against Boston. We will take it. Because right now, here's what we got in Chicago. We got 3 rebuilds going. The Cubs, the Blackhawks, and the Bears. The White Sox had one of the most miserable seasons ever. And the Bulls are sort of stuck in no man's land as like one of those middling teams. So we've got 5 teams with no real championship hopes.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's after a 33-14 ass whipping of New England. That's Chicago right there. Hey, Sylvie, how's the health? Everything good?
Feel great. 2.5 years, Dan, in remission. I'm feeling great. Going to hit the treadmill right now. And I'm going to ride the win. So any win I will take. I will take the round of 79 as I made the analogy to.
Yeah. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for jumping on. Really appreciate it. Let's do it again.
Great to see you. You've always been great. I love what you do. I love you as a guy, and I appreciate you.
Right back at you. right back at you, my friend. There he is. 2 to 6 Central Time, 3 to 7 Eastern Time, AM 1000 in Chicago, Waddle and Sylvie. It is great. No, it is stay in your car and listen great. No, it is. That's how good it is. I mean, it is literally that good. All right, we woken a dope. What do we got? Thanks to Sylvie for jumping up. What do we got? Holding a Disney-themed all-ages drag brunch. Oh, geez. Describes their performance as inspired by Satanism. What are we doing? I say it at the end of every show. What are we doing? Bah! All right, last take. Morons, check this out. Watch the media kissing the ass of Chris Ballard and Frank Reich. They're going to make this move before any ball is thrown. They're going to make this move seem like genius. Sam Ellinger replacing Matt Ryan. Stop it. Stop it. This is a move based on an inept general manager, a soft-ass coach, and, frankly, the owner stepping in and saying, I'm tired of this. Yes, yes, yes. Matt Ryan was short-arming the ball. Yes, yes, yes. Matt Ryan's shoulder may be dinged up, grade whatever, sprain. But the truth of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, the truth is this is years of overhyped PR gone awry that's finally come to roost, and I've been saying it in Indianapolis for years. I recognize what's real, what's tough, and what's fraudulent. Love the dudes as people. Reich, great guy. Ballard, great guy. But you watch. They will make this out like this is some great decision by two guys really doing a lot of thinking. Crap. Jimmy Irsay made the decision. All right. Go to DraftKings.com. Go right now. DraftKings.com is there for you. Do yourself a favor. Don't be a crazy person. Put some money in there. Bet $5. You know what you get? You get $200 in free bets. I have to go to the bathroom. Go to Outkick.com/bet. Dylan, thank you. Great meeting you yesterday. Ryan, Davey, Corey, everybody, Aaron, thank you for setting this bad boy up. But if I don't get over here to the potty, there's going to be a problem. Send me adult diapers because, damn it, I'm tired of this. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Thanks, fellas.